Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking about efforts to pass gun control nationally and in Tennessee, where things stand with gun legislation. We have with us John Harris, Tennessee Firearms Association. We have a whole bunch of calls, so I'm just going to go to the phones. Let's go to Ron. Hello, Ron.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, go right ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. Just to try to make it real quick and real brief, I know there's a lot of other people calling in. Back when I was in high school, you had people carrying guns, or actually not carrying guns, but they would come to school with guns in their trucks, and, they was going hunting after school. Wasn't a problem with that. Trying to figure out what happened between now and then and now, as far as how society went so warped and crazy. There's a lot of people with gun permits. I don't think we're seeing a whole lot of problems out of people carrying gun permits, because 9 times out of 10, they're out to protect themselves and other people. Criminals are they're gonna get weapons. It don't matter if it's a butcher knife. You can go make bombs, whatever. And back with the making guns yourself, the fella probably answer his question. From what I've seen on crime shows, that people can grind the serial numbers off of a gun, but when the police finds the gun, if they do, that they can do ballistics on it. That
right.
The last thing is helping reform. And I'm getting kind of off subject on this. The lady that done the BLM, was worth probably $90-something million as far as a whole lot of money, and she's buying houses in white neighborhoods. Anyways, off subject just a little bit, but as far as that, I appreciate it. Give me a comment.
Well, that seems way off subject, but okay. What is I like the first thing Ron asked about. He said back when he was going to school, people they did have guns, and they would take them go hunting every once in a while. What has gone wrong between now and then? That's an interesting question to me. I'm going to assume he's a few years out of high school. What's gone wrong, do you think, since then?
I wish I knew the answer to that, because I think he's correct. I can remember being in high school here in Nashville and having, costume dress-up days, and actually borrowing my mother's Wild West, looking holster rig, with the belt loops, with the little bullet loops in them and all that, and actually having a pistol in the holster at school for dress-up day. And nobody thought anything of it. Now, we did take the extra step. It was a revolver that we took the cylinder out of it, so there wasn't even a cylinder in the gun. But not a single teacher ever stopped me to ask if there was. All they saw was, the handle sticking out of a cowboy western holster. And now you can't walk on school property and look like that, or they'll go nuts. And so I think part of it's an overreaction in society in general, that guns and schools just can't mix. They shall never mix. And I think we're seeing trending away from that as the state is passing more and more laws incrementally that allows staff, teachers, and I think that'll be expanded in time to things like college campuses where students can even carry.
Well, now, I don't know that it's an overreaction. I would say I don't know that it's an overreaction. What I'm talking about is there have been so many mass shootings at schools. It's horrifying. It's horrifying what we are seeing, and so many parents are worried about that. So, yeah, I guess I get that you can't, parade a gun around school now. I guess I get that. I wonder what's gone wrong with society since then. I don't think you're advocating. I don't know what are you advocating, that people should be able to carry guns around in the hallways of schools and that kind of thing? Because we have seen these mass shootings.
They're passing laws already to increase that capability in Tennessee. But I think the issue, like he said, when I was in school, it wasn't anything special for the guys to have shotguns and rifles out in their vehicles, because we went shooting. We went to other students' houses after school and shot. It wasn't a big deal at all. But something has changed to the point that now the guns showing up on school properties, particularly in the hands of students, are in the hands of students that have not been properly adjusted into society, maybe is the way to put it. They've got social problems, they've got psychological problems, they've got emotional problems. And like the Parkland shooting student, the faculty, the teachers, the staff, the other students know that long before the shooting happens, and nobody deals with it. You know, and I think that's part of what has changed, because when I was in high school in Nashville in the 70s, if someone had emotional or social problems, they got talked to, it got addressed. And the schools had the capacity to discipline, but they also had the capacity to say maybe that student needs help beyond what the school can provide, and to make arrangements to get it. And I don't think you see that these days.
Okay, let's go to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Hello, go right ahead.
What I'd like to say, I'd like to see every gun that was made at the time they made the law be made available to people. But we need to take a serious look at the guns that's been made since they made the law. When they made the law, we were battling a foreign king even. And now, but under the assumption that the worst of home rule is better than the best of foreign rule. But that we don't have that problem anymore. And plus, like I say, at the time that law was written, I think the only thing they had was muzzle-loading guns. It'd be real hard to kill a whole class full of people with muzzle-loading guns. You could get by with the law, even, making that available. But any gun that's made since then, we need to take a serious look at making them available to the general public.
Okay.
But thank you.
Thank you. What do you think of what he's saying there?
Well, every court that's looked at that issue has outright rejected it. The Tennessee Supreme Court has actually commented on that very issue and has made clear that the right to arms is not frozen in time so that it's only applicable to whatever existed in the late 1700s. That it is, in fact, the Tennessee Supreme Court has said that the right to arms that's protected is for those categories of arms that would be suitable for military engagement. So it even went further when it wrote the Andrews opinion and said some stuff that's even prohibited now is constitutionally protected and should be available to the civilian population. But the arguments that we ought to be stuck with muzzle loaders from the late 1700s is just been rejected by every court that's looked at it.
But when you ask what's changed since the 70s and now, I mean, I think guns are much more lethal, and maybe that's part of the problem.
Well, you know, it's the same thing with the news media and the First Amendment. You want to go back and just use inks and printing presses?
So, okay. Let's go to Charles. Hello, Charles.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I grew up in East Tennessee. We had shotguns, we had rifles, and the only person that had a handgun that I knew of was a sheriff. And I don't know why that was, but it seems like from that simpler time when we had weapons for home protection. In fact, I keep a shotgun now just for that. I found it to be a very effective deterrent. But the idea of going out of your home and being on constant alert and fear of other citizens making you feel you have to carry a gun is what's taken us down that rabbit hole. That's all I can say. That's the way I see it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So he's concerned by this proliferation. All right, comment on what he said there.
Well, I can appreciate his concerns because there are situations across the nation where people have grown up, particularly in rural communities, and pretty much all that was in the home was the rifle or the shotgun or the long arms. But the fact is, we've had handguns since before the 1700s when the Constitution was adopted. They are perfectly the kinds of weapons that Justice Scalia mentioned in the Heller Supreme Court decision, which are most adaptable to self-defense. And the court has said, the Supreme Court has said, one of the purposes of the Second Amendment is to provide the right of the citizens, or to protect the right of the citizens, to have weapons suitable for self-defense and personal defense purposes, which is the handgun. There's no doubt about it. The handgun is the preferred firearm for self-defense use.
So you just wonder if that is, well, okay. All right, we have to take a break. All right, we'll take a break, and I'll keep taking calls. I appreciate all your calls. So we'll take a break, be back right after this.